Yeah, it says that. All right, let's go ahead. Welcome to Slow Jam Fizz, everybody. So excited to have Paul Brown and Terri McMurray leading our jam today. And Paul tells me we will be in the key of D. I have nothing else to say. I'll put the tipping in for some other information in the chat. So take a look at that and take it away, Paul and Terri.
All right, thank you.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. Thanks, Maxine and Brendan, for putting this on, and Berkeley Old Time Music Convention for playing its role and helping the technology go forward. Everything is great. So, yeah, I've got my fiddle tuned tonight in the high D, so E, A, D, A, just so that we don't have to tune a whole lot. And some of the tunes that we're playing are going to be old time tunes that benefit from that tuning. Some of them I play in the regular tuning, but it doesn't matter. You can play them either way. So that's where I'm tuned. And banjos, you're probably going to be best off in regular double D or something like that, most likely. And we should have a good time. So
And just so you know, clearly we're in the key of D. My A chord, I play a long A chord, which looks like this. I know that Eric did when Eric and Susie were on the other day, just so that you can recognize that that's my 5 chord. Okay.
So there we go.
So we actually have some tunes just out of, this is going to be the rhythm section. It sort of happened that it's a very interesting set list for those of you that are just playing out of chords, because we've got some very chordally interesting tunes. They're not impossible or anything, but when we ran through it again last night, I said, this is actually, it's really fun on guitar, because it's not just the same chords in the same sequence every time. So we'll give you a heads up.
So they're pretty much all tunes we've learned from the old fiddlers that we were hanging around with. It's hard to believe it's 35 and 40 years ago and more. It just went by in a flash. But that's how long ago it was. And so some of the versions you might recognize, some might be different, a little different for you, but none of them is impossible. If you're right at the beginning level, just do what you can and come around the next time and get a good note and then add another one to it. If it's just right, have a big time. And then if you feel that it's going a little too slowly for you, we got that fixed up too, because guess what? You always can get better. So this is your time to refine your timing, your technique, and get the notes that you're playing. So whatever level you're at, if you know how to have fun, we're going to have fun. We used to go over to Tommy Jarrell's on like a Friday night or something like this. Just he'd send word. He didn't have a telephone, so he'd send word out through various ones of us who could get to other people and say he was going to have music at his house. And depending on what key he would start in, usually he played in D or A a lot of the time, he would always have a check-in tune that would make sure that everybody's in tune and in time. And in A, it was usually Breaking Up Christmas. It was the first tune he'd always play every time. And then everything else that followed. And then in D, it was always Soldier's Joy. So why don't we have a little Soldier's Joy? And we started on the top part. So listen to her if you want, and don't fool yourself. It's a good old tune, good sort of medium speed. what Tommy used to say, if you were in tune like that, he'd say, well, I guess the blind hog stumbled up on an acorn. So we've got him in tune. Here's another good one I hope you enjoy. It's called A Cricket on the Hearth, and we used to play this in the Smoky Valley Boys with Benton Flippen all the time at the square dances. It's a great tune, different fiddle style to it, but just a nice, just a whole lot of fun. It's got all the 3 chords in it, and so what could be more better than that? Here we go. And we speed it up a little towards the end, like we did with Soldier Joy. As you get in the groove a little bit, maybe we'll, give it a little more pep. So. pep that up a little bit for a square dance, fiddle players, and just let your fiddle arm go, nice long bow strokes, and you've got a really peppy square dance tune. And the banjo pickers, not too many notes to that tune, really. If you play just good light rhythm, you can get most of the melody notes without much trouble. But you can pep it up a little. You see how it sounds like when you get to a square dance, you know. It's really, you'll see, just spend some time with it and you'll be there in a flash. So what's next, Terry?
This next one is from Luther Davis, and we were very, very fortunate to spend some quality time with Luther,
Including getting switched.
Yeah, that's another story.
That's another story. He made you cut your own switch.
That's right. But he also fed us really well.
Yeah.
Luther always cooked on a big old wood cook stove. His kids bought him an electric stove, and he just put it out on his back porch and never used it. He liked his wood cook stove.
He didn't like it.
Anyway, Luther was in his early 90s, I guess, when we met him. But this is called Little Black Dog Come Trotting Down the Lane.
And it's a real pretty tune. Old Galax. Yeah.
There was a question in the chat. What do you think of plucking the strings on the A chords of Cricket on the Heart?
Oh, I don't have any problem with it. It's a free country. I'm all for it.
Actually, Cricket on the Hearth is one of those tunes where on that second part, after the D going into the A chord, the bands will do, members will stop, and bass players love to shine on that.
Yeah, it's cheap tricks.
Cheap tricks.
We used to
but
do
they're
it.
Fun, and the crowd loves it.
Yeah, we did it at the Hometown Opry all the time when Barbara Poole was playing bass with us. So she'd get that low part. And every now and then,
and the crowd would go wild.
every time, they same thing. They just loved it.
And also, we should say at this point too that chord choices are just that. Paul and I have been playing together for a long time, and some of them are tempered by what we heard other people play. This particular Luther didn't have an active guitar player with him at the time we met him, so we kind of had to figure things out. But the next tune that we're going to do, we'll talk about it later, but it was a chord choice that a band made. But if you play it with somebody, you may make your own decisions about your chords. That's up to you. Just decide in advance so that you're in agreement with each other. That's all.
Little black dog coming trotting down the road. black dog come a trotting down the road.
So now,
15 miles away.
Yeah, 15 miles away, you've got Norm Edmonds. Now, the name is changed, but the notes are pretty similar. So now you sort of have those notes down. But Norm Edmonds' band added a 4-chord. They did this a whole lot where they did 1, 4, 5, 1, 1, 4, 5, 1, no matter what the tune was. So it's going to totally change the way the tune sounds, of course. And of course, Norm Edmonds, up to speed, this was a lively dance tune, and he called it Sugar in the Gourd.
Well, yeah, and so Sugar in the Gourd was part of the words of the old Little Black Dog tune. And also, now the fiddle players too, we were playing this sort of down at the end of the bow, old ancient Galax style on that last tune. Well, Uncle Norm, he was the next step forward. He's like a half a generation down from Luther Davis and some of those folks, and he just had his own swing to the music. He's more in the middle of the bow and big bow sweeps and a lot more syncopation than those old English style sounding players from up around Galax. And so same tune, different bowing, a few different notes, you'll catch on, and this one is really fun. But Barbara Poole was Norm Edmonds' granddaughter, and she played in our band on the bass for years. So we got really into playing a lot of her grandpa's tunes because she just loved hearing them. So this is one of them. That was a little quicker on that one. It doesn't go as well when it's played real slow. It's kind of a real square dance tempo tune, but it's still worth hearing. So at least I hope you think it was. And it's a real fun tune to play once you get in the groove with it. So you want to play a round or two of it just a little slower? Just so people want to practice it later? Does anybody want that? I'm not seeing it.
I hear a couple bobbing heads.
Okay, we'll play it a little bit slower, and then you can go back to it once it's recorded, on the web, and check it out, fool with it some more. So we've had at least 3 different styles of fiddle playing so far. That's not bad for 25 minutes or so. Let's go back over to Benton, Flippen land. A lot of you have heard the old Logan County Blues, and the version that most people are familiar with is Fred Cochran made popular, and he did a beautiful, beautiful job on it. And one night I was over at Benton's house. I said, Ben, did you ever play Logan County? Because I realized we never played it in the band at one of the Scrantons. He goes, oh yeah, I used to play it all the time, but I forgot all about it. So I said, how about playing it a little bit? It was always worth asking someone to play their version of a tune.
So, just a heads up if you haven't thought about it, because I hadn't thought about it. I'd heard the tune and played it. So sometimes tunes this one actually has like only, well, however you count your measures, but it's either missing a measure or 2 in one part, and then it only has 3 out of the 4 beats in the measure in the other part. And I'm only mentioning that because if this is new to you and it feels like it's a little bit crooked, it is a little crooked, but I never thought of this as a crooked tune, which is sort of.
But it's not too bad. No. It's got a little bit of a hitch in the get along when you go back from the second part back to the first part. It loses a beat there, but you'll catch it once you hear it the first time. You'll jump right in.
Yeah, it sounds like you're rushing back into the first.
It'll be as natural as it could be. But anyway, he had a great version of it. It was really fun to play, and I've played it ever since.
This one can handle a real lopey tempo.
It's a blues tune, you know. and just a tiny bit faster so you get in the blues groove. It will sort of sound like this when you get it in gear. So it's got a nice lope to it when you get going with it. So now we're going to go back in time again. One day I was over at Luther Davis's house one afternoon, Mr. Davis's house. We were sitting out on that same porch where the electric stove was for some reason. Maybe we're in the kitchen. I don't know. We're somewhere near there. Anyway, he says all of a sudden, he goes, there's a tune I haven't thought of in 50 years. I said, well, is it still in your head, in your
But
mind?
it took him 14 times.
Yeah.
There's a
Right.
tune.
Yeah. How about playing it? Can you play it? He says, let's go get the fiddle. So we did. And it was Rockin' in a Weary Land. And with it went another tune that was called My Darling. And he said they always used to play the two tunes. If they played a square dance, they play the Rockin' in a Weary Land and then go over to My Darling. It was just like sibling tunes to him. So he remembered the second one, My Darling, also at that same time. So I said, would you mind if we get the tape recorder and record this so we don't forget it a second time? You have to go another 50 years, Luther, before you remember it. Remember, he was about 95 at the time. He thought that was a good idea. So we did. And here are the two tunes.
Now, the first one, Rockin' in a Weary Land, starts on the 5 chord. So it's a 5-1.
So it's an A chord.
4-1. So it's A, D, G, D.
You'll see the guitar pickers.
Right, but if you were paying attention, you'd be like, what?
So, Rockin' in a Weary Land. Rockin' in the Weary Land, and the other tune is My Darling that went with it. And it's real sweet too. That's a gorgeous tune, that Rockin' in the Weary Land, I think, don't you? And
I love that one.
oh, we got a note from one person that said we're positioned just perfectly so you can see both of our hands and what we're doing. So that's good news. And glad we worked that over a little bit on the sound check. So
Yeah, actually, I got this from watching you, Susie, and Eric, and I was like, because we normally switch sides.
yeah,
We play on the other side of each other, but I could see Eric's hand so easily, and yours, and I was like, you know what? That's what we need to do.
fine.
Oh, by the way, we do have a concert coming up on April Fool's Day.
We're going to
It's
be the
not a
April
joke.
Fools. We're the April
It's
Fools.
true. Hiawatha Music Co-op, they're up in Marquette, Michigan, are doing, it's a fundraiser for them
Keep their festival
to
going.
keep their festival going, and it's 7 to 8 Eastern time. So that would actually be pre-quarantine.
That's right. So Thursday, April Fool's Day, April 1st, 7 to 8 p.m. And you can go online and find out about it by just going to Hiawatha Music Festival, and it'll pop up on your.
It'll be on
browser somewhere.
Facebook, and I guess then they'll have their own page. I think that Maxine put in the.
Yeah, I've been
Somewhere.
periodically posting it in the chat so you can see
So
it.
come around and join us, and we'll have now.
And there were a few requests that came in for things that, anyway, all the requests that we got, we will play during that set. So there was
at Hiawatha.
at Hiawatha, there was one for
There was one for the Last Cold Whiskey.
Last Cold Whiskey. There's one for the Ed Weaver's Cluck Old Hen.
Right. Yeah.
And there was one other that.
Anyway, we'll get them
Anyway,
all.
Yeah.
We'll-
We'll play them on our concert set.
April Fool's Day. Okay, here we go with a little bit of My Darling. My Darling.
And Peter Honig has been posting tunes, a few tunes here and there recently that he played with different folks a while back. But one of the tunes he recently posted is called Lucy Darling by Norm Edmonds.
Yeah.
And And so Paul's like, oh, that's similar. And again, Uncle Norm and Luther lived about 15 miles apart. They knew each other.
Yeah.
But the tunes, I mean, the filters that they both had changed tunes drastically. But anyway, so My Darling seems to be a relative of Lucy Darling.
So while we're hanging around with this crew of reputable fiddle players of memory, let's go back and get another Norm Edmonds tune, which is Walking in the Parlor. And it doesn't get much better than Walking in the Parlor with the Old Timers, featuring old time tunes.
That's right.
That's right.
And this happens to be an Uncle Norm tune that's only a two chords.
Walking in the Parlor. Well, we figured we'd go out of state just one time. We've been in North Carolina and Virginia the whole time. But we were friends too with the Roan Mountain Hilltoppers. A lot of fun. The wall of sound when they get up on the stage at Galax just knocked the place crazy. So
We're going to have to pull the reins back so that
yeah.
None of their tunes were slow, but we'll slow this one down. But this will be a really good one to, play it at a slow tempo for a while and then pick it up, because it really rocks when you pick it up. So this is called Little Gal Foamy. Best as we know, that's what it's called.
That's right. It's a good one too.
It is a great one.
We try only to play good tunes, So here it is.
back on that one.
I know you want to keep rolling on that one. That was really good when you get cranking at a square
Why
dance.
don't you hit it a lick?
Okay, just a lick or two.
A
Let's
lick or two at square dance
let's
tempo.
kick it in the rear
it in
end
the
just a
pants.
little bit here. Well, there we go. Now, let's go back up to Galax again.
There we go.
Enough of this Tennessee music. So here's going back to where we started a little bit with the really old style bowing from the Galax area and nice lilt to it. And
Another friend of Luther's.
sounds very sort of English or Celtic even. And Parley Parsons, great fiddle player, lived in Galax, and went over to his house one time, and we were just messing around with one tune and another, and he came out with this old Virginia reel, which I'd never heard anyone else play. And by the way, you cannot really do a Virginia reel to it. It's not set up for it, but that's the name of the tune, and it's a good one. And it's got a little bit of Black Eyed Susie in it, a little bit of the Mississippi Sawyer, a little bit of one thing and another, but yet it's just very much its own thing.
And a full set of 3 chords.
Yeah. is the old Virginia reel. Oh gosh, I think we just have time for a waltz. What do you say? I think we might. Here's one that Fields Ward used to play on his guitar, and his dad, Crockett Ward, played on the fiddle, and so did Luther Davis played this one as well. And when we used to go over and see Fields at his house after he'd moved up to Maryland, we'd talk about all these old tunes and had a really good time. He's just a great guy. And here's the tune. He plays it on the guitar in a very strange way, by the way. He recorded it in '74 for Rounder.
Oh,
You
it's
check
wonderful.
it out. Yeah, part of it's in 4/4 time and part of it's not. And it's just, he has a
This is in waltz time, but
resonant bass, guitar tuning on it. It's just fantastic.
he used to play with the finger picks.
Yeah, he played with finger picks. So even when he backed up, the fiddle tunes and all. So anyway, here's,
You're welcome to run over a little if you want. The only reason we really stop it at 5 is so that there's plenty of time to run over some before quarantine happy hour. But you can run over some if you like.
Well, we have one more happy
one
tune
more.
after this one.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So, peekaboo. Thank you, Brendan. And by the way, thanks everybody for coming out. So this has been so much fun, at least on this side. We can see a few of you on the screen, but anyway, hope you've had a good time, and come on out and join us again on April Fool's Day.
That's right.
We'll be the fools for you, and you can be April. All right, here we go. Peekaboo. And we'll wrap it up with a wonderful.
Paul, there's a question of somebody wants to know about your microphone.
Okay, it's this is an ear trumpet myrtle, It's made up out of junkyard parts by a really fabulous microphone maker. So it's the ear trumpet Myrtle, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. Not only does it send you back in appearance 70 years, it gives you a great sound. So
That's right.
ear trumpet. Find it. You can find it.
An ear trumpet makes a couple of different
They
models.
make a bunch of them.
And what kind of a mic is it?
Myrtle.
No,
Oh, it's a cardioid microphone, but it's a great performance microphone, and it just uses old plumbing springs and stuff. It really and this is like
springs.
this could be like the top of a can.
Plumbers don't use springs.
Sort of cap nuts that you could get at the hardware store when we had hardware stores back in the day, and stuff like that. But internals are fantastic, and it's a rugged microphone, good on the stage, and ear trumpet. I don't work for them, but you can find it if you do a search online.
Paul, what was the title of the last tune?
That was the Peekaboo Waltz,
Peekaboo Waltz.
of which there's more than one. The other one that some people use as Peekaboo Waltz is also called Chapel Hill Serenade, but that's a different tune. That's like the Green Willis tune, but as a waltz. But this one is another Peekaboo Waltz. So
we thought we would end up with another Luther tune. This sort of was a Luther-centric set.
Yeah, I don't know. It just one of those things. Just happened. I got somebody studying with me as a folklife arts apprentice in the North Carolina Arts Council on the oldest fiddle styles. That's what he wanted to know. There's not too many of us around now anymore playing who spent significant time with those old people in that last generation before the radio and records and recording. It changed everything. So here it is. I'm trying to spend some time with folks, and that's a great experience, but it's caused me to be thinking a lot about Luther, Davis, and Parley, Parsons, and Norm Edmonds, and all those people, and get back into really playing that repertoire. So hope you've enjoyed it. And here's one, Lily of the Valley, second tune he ever showed me.
Luther's Lily of the Valley, and I know there was a recent recording online. Nikosi and company did. They put their own chords in, which actually it changed it very, very nicely. It was wonderful.
You'll find your way.
So again, the chords that you choose are simply the chords you choose. It all works out as long as you're playing this more or less the same chords together at the same time.
Because when they first were playing this tune, they didn't even have guitars around Galax.
Guitar was one of the last things to come into their repertoire. So,
I mean, Luther was hilarious because you'd ask him sometimes about a tune. And, well, did you learn it in Galax? He was old enough that he'd say, one time he looked at me like I was crazy. He said, was that played around? He said, "Whoa, no, Galax wasn't there then." Because he built some of the first houses in Galax. He cut the timber for them and built them. And he used to say he could, if someone wanted a house, they tell him what they wanted, and he could name out, just do the arithmetic in his head and go to the sawmill and get the wood cut for the entire house. He used to say this with great modesty, and that there wouldn't be but one or two sticks left over at the whole thing, sometimes not even one. So he remembered before there was a Galax. So
there.
So you can play whatever chords on a guitar, a newfangled instrument like that you want.
That's right.
Anyway, thank you all. Here's Lily of the Valley. guess that about
Thank you,
Take-
everyone.
care of it.
Thank
and
you,
we'll-
gosh, Paul and Terry, thank you so much. That was,
Thank you so much, everybody. It was just so much
I'm
fun
gonna
to hang
send you
out.
the chat because everybody's really,
We had a big time. Hope you did too. See you April 1st if you get a chance. We'll be the fools. You can be the listener. and hear it. Have fun. Okay. See you.
okay.
Thank you for
Thanks,
coming,
Paul.
everybody. That was
Bye.
Yeah.
Next week, Karen, Celia Heil, Allegra Yellen, and Jordan Rule will be
Oh, yeah.
our Slow Jam Fizz, and that'll be a great repertoire of tunes. So thanks for coming. See you all next week, and
Hey,
see you
Linda.
in a few minutes.
See you.
all right. Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye,
Thanks for
everybody.
coming.